other people forget things too.
Everybody forgets stuff.
I sure do. That funny, as soon as I saw Susan, I recognized her because she's a choir.
Well, she was
And
the
as
one
soon
that
as
was
she
in
saw
choir.
me, she recognized, but we didn't know each other's
I
names.
wonder what that was all about.
You know how you are. She's over in the alto section.
I know that.
I bet you it sounded singing yesterday because I haven't sung it
here for the
for a year.
And that's all.
Everyone's turn. Well, I didn't feel like I had any choice.
Really fast. Can you catch them
Oh,
all?
you did fine.
But
I don't know, are we?
Yep, we're now. 1, 2, ready, play.
Today, we are celebrating a life well lived. This is the, let's get this on camera. This was Chris's special project he's been disappeared to do. Tonight we're going to celebrate, and we've all collected some memories. Did you get that? Get that. Thank you. We've all collected some memories, and in no particular order, and with no particular accuracy. We got some great memories we're going to share about your life. Would you like us to do that?
Thank you,
Well, everybody who comes, we've all got some, and this is the witness booth right here. We're gonna share a few of these, and I'll start since this is my idea. And
Well, we just do some, you do some and I'll do some, and then maybe we can just...
okay, rotate them around. Okay. Okay, I kind of got these in a little chronological order here, and this is can you believe this? When Dad bought cigars for his dad. Can you imagine Dad buying cigars? Because the slogan back in Holland was, "You're not a man until you've had a smoke." Is that how that one goes?
That's close
enough. Yeah. And he bought him. He said that was the only gift he turned down, I guess, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, he'd been taking him for years, but then when he got saved, well, he felt it was wrong to smoke, so, and I didn't think about it, so I went and bought him a package of cigars, and he said, well, he almost cried, and he said, "Thank you, son, but I don't smoke anymore."
Yeah, that was probably your last cigars you've ever bought, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
And then he didn't know what in the world he was going to buy his dad after that for gifts.
So when did your dad become a
Sorry, what?
Christian?
What'd I do then?
You said you didn't know what you would buy him for gifts,
Yeah.
because there always was some kind of tobacco you'd buy him.
Yeah.
When did your dad become a Christian, and how?
Well, he, when he came from Holland, like Steve read there, you're not a man if you don't smoke or whatever. And that was the typical attitude of people in Holland. And so when he came to this country, he went to different churches, tried to find something that would satisfy him. And so he went to this church and that church and different churches, and he finally ended up in a Nazarene church, which seemed to satisfy him and made him happy. And so he became a Christian, and after I don't know how many years in Holland, but in Freeport. But
And so when you were born, he was not a Christian.
no.
Huh. And how old were you at this time?
Oh, I was about 13, 14.
Wow.
Well, tell
We'll play
about,
cigars when you're 13?
tell about when he quit smoking, what happened.
Oh yeah, why? Yes. Yes. That was pretty interesting why he quit smoking. No one said, no, Jasper, you have to quit smoking. Christians don't smoke. No one said, no, you're going to be a Christian, you can't smoke. So he went in to his favorite cigar store and bought some cigars. And so he went outside and as his custom was, he lit up a cigar. And so he heard this voice, this my voice said, throw that thing away. He looked around and said, I don't know. What's this all about? So he kept on smoking. Took 2 or 3 more puffs on the cigar and he said, heard that voice again. Still couldn't. And about the 3rd time, it kind of reminded me of Samuel and Eli. So he said, well, that must be the Holy Spirit telling me not to smoke. So he got rid of them and never smoked again.
Huh.
Great.
That's a neat account.
Well, speaking of Dutch masters, you wanted to be a Dutch master at the Reformed Seminary. Was that the name of it? Dad, a lot of people don't know, he went to seminary in Holland. Did you know that?
I didn't
For
know
a summer. Dr. Billier Graham.
Billier Graham,
And one memory I have is that Dad always worked his ministry into his occupation. There was in your stories you told me about cab driving plus the ministering to people while selling insurance. He was the one who married, buried, counseled, consoled, everything. When you delivered a check, it says first thing we're going to do is we're going to pray for you and your family, then we'll take care of this money first.
And I had a combined, I guess you might call it a combined occupation of ministry and insurance. I felt it was important for people to have life insurance in case something happened to them. But I also felt it was real important to see that their souls were helped. And Bella,
Yes, and the cab driving, you did that.
His story.
Okay.
Driving the cab, and he always took his Bible with
yeah,
him.
I guess, is there more?
Well, except the reason I was driving cab was to supplement my church salary, and I had a lot of people that I had opportunity to witness to.
Yeah.
And even the company, they were so good, they didn't tell me I shouldn't read the Bible or keep in the cab. They knew it, I guess they knew it.
And they didn't expect you to go to taverns and things like that.
Well, if they
Very
had,
often.
if they had a tavern call a person, they got the person, but they didn't expect me to go in. If they didn't come out, I'd forget it. And so they were very good to me.
Okay. Now, some of you may not know this story about one of his first churches that had so much trouble with. And I can certainly identify with that. One of the women that gave him so much trouble, her son went to prison for, I think it was murder or something.
Yeah.
And Dad wrote, the woman who gave her so much trouble, wrote her a letter of encouragement. After you'd left the area, but she wrote her a letter anyway.
That's right.
that spoke well. Okay, and now on to Spokane. And do you remember when you took me to meet Steve Bilko?
At the ballpark?
Yeah, at the Indians locker room. You arranged for me to meet Steve Bilko, who hit 40 home runs one year. And how did you do that? How did you swing that? Do you have any idea?
No, I don't. I guess I just had a lot of, I was bold and said, well, I'd like to have Steve meet Steve, so,
Yeah.
so I took you over there and got a chance to get acquainted with Steve Bilko.
Good. Maybe you can meet Steve Martin.
Well, okay.
Yeah, that was their leverage. You know, if I was playing with my food on the plate and Dad would say, "Now would Steve Bilko do that?" Well, I'll stop. You know, if Steve Bilko wouldn't do it, I won't do it. You know, that's the criteria for all behavior. And how many times have you just decided to up and go catch a seventh inning on, in addition to the regular games we went to go see,
Yeah.
and listen to the radio? Ready? Everybody together. Hot dog, there she goes. It's halfway to Montana. Oh, come on, you can do better than that. Let's go. Ready? Hot dog, there she goes. It's halfway to Montana. How many times did we hear that one?
Oh, quite a few, I guess.
And then,
What does that mean?
Home run.
I've never heard it.
Well, he hit a home run. And
Oh, okay.
Just unbiased news announcer would
Yeah.
tell everybody.
this guy named Herb Hunter, he's a real flashy kind of announcer, and the park was faced,
Tell everybody how
East.
good their team
you know, so every time the Indians would hit a home run, that was his trademark slogan.
Okay.
You know, even though Montana was probably, what, 400 miles?
He's a good ball player.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Okay.
Okay, and then there's that one Sunday morning, Dad was in a rush and he put toothpaste on his hair instead of Brill-Cream. It's a good thing you weren't brushing your teeth. Brill-Cream in you. A bit unsavory. And then when we got back from church, we played how many dozen games of anagram and how many hundred games of Monopoly. And
quite a few.
did we ever get the popcorn grease off the board?
I don't know if we did or not.
Yeah. Of course, then there's the Monkey Ward's days. Anyone who worked there would eat a goat burger. You know who we're talking about? Who was named that?
Yeah, but I can't think of his
Bill
name.
Wilkerson, it seemed like that if something wasn't to his liking, he said that they would eat a goat burger.
In fact, he told the lady, he says, if anyone lived in this house would eat a goat burger. That's a good.
You can see he had good PR with the public.
Oh, just like Don Rickles.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, he,
What was his name again?
Bill Wilkerson,
And then he quit one day, and he came back in 3 hours and asked for his job back.
yeah, that's right. And Bob said no.
They gave him two goat burger coupons. Okay, so Dave, go ahead and give us a few of yours and whoever else you may be representing with a wig.
Well, I asked, when I knew that Cheryl wasn't going to be able to make it, I asked her to write some things, and she faxed them to me just before we left.
Oh my.
Welcome to the 90s. Welcome to the 90s. And she says, trivia from Cheryl. This is a hodgepodge of things as they came to mind. I'm sure there are many more. Yeah, it's true, because when she started talking and listening to Steve, it started triggering off things in my mind. I'll read maybe a third of the ones that she had right now. Early Sunday morning trips to Clayton. How about that, Steve?
Yes.
Early.
Yes. Give me good practice for long trips later in life. So.
Actually, I'm going to mix some of mine in here too,
Okay.
because one of the things I remember was, do you remember the name of the restaurant in Clayton?
The Bluebell.
Triple A Diner.
Triple A.
Is that right?
That was a disappointed no.
I remember that they had the
No.
heavy
I don't remember
Navy
the name.
surplus china. Remember that stuff? Okay. Well, between the two of us, we'll get the whole thing then.
We're always pleading to go out to dinner, Sunday dinner, and of course, family didn't have much money, but every once in a while, Dad would be maybe in a more festive mood, and he'd say, "Yeah, go on," and so we would have a great time eating at the AAA diner there in Clayton. And she remembers Sunday dinners at Nestle's house. Oh, that's something. Nestle's.
Oh, yes.
Now, you talk about a farm dinner.
All right.
And good food.
Oh boy, and plenty of it, and they had this table, you could just barely pack everyone in around the table in that dining room.
That's 9 or 10 children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how when you're a kid, you remember things being bigger than they are, and you go back?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember that being small, so you can imagine how small it really is.
Really? And then she remembers everyday breakfast, cereal boxes all over the place, milk and coffee brewing. Games around the table in the evenings. We're always been a game playing family.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, played lots of games through the years, including the Smithsonian enshrined anagram
Yeah.
game.
If we can get it back for tonight.
Then a piece of trivia that we just mentioned this morning, reading Bible verses from the bread-shaped Bread of Life dispenser.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
we did
Yeah.
that last night.
That's the
Yeah.
same
Was that
one.
last night? Yeah.
And she put that down?
Yep, she put that down. And one year rides to North Central on the Ward's truck. She didn't say what she felt about that. Remember that? As a
Well,
high
I
school
thought
student.
it beat riding on the city bus, so. She
Oh,
never
really?
liked the city bus, it always made her nauseated.
Oh, is that right?
Why do we go on a word truck?
You would take her to school in
Probably
the
on the way
Ward
to work.
Oh, I see, yeah.
The options were to walk or to
Ride the bus.
horrors ride a bicycle. I mean, no
Oh,
one, no one rode a bike in those days. That was the nerdiest of Nerdville. You know, once you got out of the 8th grade, that was it. I mean, there was no bicycles. Tough adjusting to college where everyone rode bikes. Let's see, long cross-country trips. Car crowded, hot, fighting with brothers in the back seat.
That was it.
Being
Can't
left
believe
at the gas station.
Being left at the gas station. Oh, man.
I remember that story.
And car sickness, that's a Cheryl specific memory. She says how it was worth it, however, because it was so exciting to visit the grandparents. And yeah, I remember many of those trips cross country. In fact, that's one of the things that I had written down, going cross country, and we did a little tailgate camping, but mostly it was driving straight through. A lot of
We didn't have money to stay in motels and stuff like that.
Well, not only that, we didn't have the time. You'd be doing it on a 2-week vacation and.
Yeah. How long did it take you to make that trip in those days?
Well, one time I remember we left Spokane Friday afternoon about 5 o'clock, and we got into Wisconsin Sunday afternoon about.
But we couldn't do it that fast when the kids were little.
No.
That was only
Oh, yeah.
after you were high school.
That's why you didn't fight so much.
But I can remember that we would stop at a city park or something at noon and get out the camp stove and
Oh yeah.
cook a meal. We could cook a meal, eat, and get everything washed up and put away in an hour's time. Remember, that was my goal, to do it all in an hour.
That's good.
And then just let you kids run and tear to wear off your energy.
And I remember those really good times. You know, I don't remember any of the boredom or humdrum of riding myself. I just remember the excitement of it. But of course, I didn't get car sick, so I'm sure that.
I have a full sympathy for Cheryl.
Do you remember the very efficient swamp cooler we had?
Oh.
If you put your nose in it,
You might be
it'll lower it 2
1 degree.
remember those cylinders that people had?
Oh, yeah.
That would lower you 5 degrees. Or
And one time we tried ice to put in front of
Dry ice or,
something and.
Then she writes, Christmas Eve services at Clayton. Rushing to get there, of course. Excited but scared because I usually had to recite some verse or other in front of the whole church.
Oh,
Yeah.
so shy.
Yeah.
I can imagine she was sort of shy.
Sort of.
And I made her speak at the 50th.
Oh, that's
It just about killed her, but
I
poor
thought she
thing.
did a remarkable job.
yeah.
Oh.
Well, I remember when you were probably about 3 years old, and the first program that you spoke in, I think, there, and you got up with some of the other preschoolers.
And you
stood
preached
there.
about 45 minutes.
No, he got up and he started giggling and laughing, and never he had about 5 words to say. You know?
Oh, that hasn't changed much. You're still
Now I can say 25 words without laughing.
No, 250,000.
And I remember the Christmas Eve services at Clayton too, because I remember getting the candy boxes at the end, and the quality of candy boxes has certainly gone down through the years.
Yeah.
We had good
Yeah.
quality candies.
Yeah.
I don't know who put them together, but
I remember they used to have these chocolate, no.
Nigger toes, they call
African American.
Persons of color toast.
Persons of color toast.
Yeah, I used to think they were pretty good candy. Maybe it was, but in later years it was way too sweet.
Yeah, it's probably.
You know, the chocolate was ultra sweet, and the inner part was
Really sugary, yeah.
Yeah, not only that, they had those special Christmas boxes. Remember those?
Oh,
We
yeah.
had the 3 wise men and
Oh yeah.
and whatever coupons, whatever on there, and you pull it out. It wasn't a bunch of candy. It was one big piece of candy.
Oh, because
all
they all
jammed
stuck together. They drew moisture.
Boy, it tasted delicious. They had filled candies and chocolates and what all.
Yeah.
That was sure nice.
And did you have an orange? We always
No,
had an
there's
orange
more,
in our
but,
sack.
Okay.
What's that?
At the Christmas program, we always had one orange in our sack, and then all this hard candy that stuck together, and one chocolate one.
How'd you get
And
it apart?
did you get a special box?
Yeah, we'd hammer it.
Did you
No,
get a
ours
special
was
box?
in a lunch sack.
Yeah, that box just really made it for me.
Oh, yeah.
That was, I wouldn't have the foggiest idea where to get one of those today, but they
Huh.
had them every year for us.
They're down in the antique store for $95.
Yeah.
And somebody didn't eat their candy, and it's still there.
Exactly.
With the orange.
Well, I
Yeah.
remember,
The orange has cinnamon in it, or cloves in it. They preserved it.
I remember the furnace or the stove in the back of the church at Clayton. And in the winter days, you remember, if you stood next to the stove, you'd roast on one side and freeze on the other, and
Your coat would scorch on one
yeah,
side, and
you
you'd
could
cold.
turn around, but that stove got awfully hot.
Hey, do you remember you and I did a Christmas get together? We were shepherds. We had the towel thing going. We had some wood and red cellophane with some kind of light in there. And that
Oh,
was-
is that right? I don't
And
know that.
you had this many lines. I had these 2 because that's about all I could handle. You know.
What's Clayton?
A city.
Oh, it's a
Our
town north of
community
Spokane.
And who lives there?
It's a church.
Hardly
I
anybody.
was pastor.
Farm
I pastored
people.
there for 5 years.
Okay. That's the basic intent of
It was
it.
a community church that was sponsored by the American Sunday School Union.
What was it, about 30 or 40?
That's what I did not know.
And,
And not only that, it was it was the first church that I remember, myself. Dave and Cheryl was a little different, but that was the first church I ever remember. So, and it was just your typical whitewashed country church building. It was just every stereotype picture you've seen. Yes.
Somebody Atkinson wanted
Some of my memories, I had several categories. As Steve was talking, I remember a number of times going with you at your work, and always remember that there's several kinds of work that I went with you on, they all involved a vehicle of some kind. There's the cab driving,
Yeah.
which I remember, and I don't remember a lot of specifics about it, but I remember going into, I suppose, the dispatch room, and they had a chart on the wall with a bunch of knobs or something. Is that for where the different cabs were, the calls were, or something like that?
Yeah, I would, yeah. You know, cab number 12, cab number 15, or whatever. And at that particular point, they were headed for some specific place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of course, this is in Gainesville now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And like we started a while ago when Steve was talking. It seemed like most of these companies when I worked for them were just very good. They put no restrictions on me for my Christian faith or anything like that. And as long as I did my work, which I tried to do a good job, there was no way that they would condemn me for it. I thought that was pretty nice.
Then later on, you had the bread route and the for Murphy's. No, Marianne. Murphy's was a competitor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Marianne Bakery and Early Dawn Dairy. Was there another route in there someplace?
Well, there was a Murphy's, which I had for a short time later.
Yeah. Anyhow, I remember just having a lot of fun going with you, Dad, out on those rides there. I'm sure glad you invited me along.
Well, thank you. It was nice to have you.
Especially, I remember about the middle of the afternoon on the bakery route, we would go out and we'd open up a package of butter horns or what was those? Nutty Buddies or
Buttermilk.
Lots of buttermilk.
It was bear claws.
No, there was the one that was like butterhorn but had some nuts on the top. Anyhow, that was my favorite, I remember.
Oh, was it?
And then later on, driving the Ward's truck when I was, can't remember if I'd started college, when I was able to work with you on vacations or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think I went around with you before then.
Yes, but then I think when I needed an assistant, Bob gave me permission to hire somebody, and so I did hire you. Because I think you probably made the salary then maybe a couple dollars an hour.
And it was almost $3 an hour, I think, maybe.
And for a boy 16 or whatever.
Oh yeah, that was big money.
I can take pictures of whatever I want.
And all the goat burgers you could eat.
All the
Yeah.
Buttermilk you could drink.
And there was I had a lot of deliveries. I remember going out in the country and around the town and so on. But the delivery I hope to never ever repeat in my life was delivering a Monarch range in the second floor apartment. I don't know if you remember that.
No, but I can imagine why you would, because those were heavy ranges, and you weren't that big or that strong yet at that time.
Yeah. I think the two of us got it in there, but it was
Don't ask me how.
it was a real struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the things were fairly straightforward, you know, and you have to struggle a bit, but this one I remember was just, I thought we'd never get that thing in. And then the other one I don't remember too much about, but do you remember the Bad Friday the 13th you had?
No, not offhand.
You had, I don't remember, it wasn't exactly an accident, but you knocked the mirror off the truck and this and that. You remember anything like that one?
I forgot about, I can't remember, but I remember he had several things on that.
It was like 3 things that were
Yeah.
all sort of unusual and not very much fun.
Yeah.
I
Made you almost believe in Friday the 13th.
hope all your memories weren't bad ones.
Isn't she lovely? Serenading Cherie over here.
pan thing, pan facing for the camera. It's kind of.
And of course,
Fair.
all my early years, I remember you being a preacher, and I never thought anything unusual about being a preacher's kid, because that's just the way I grew up.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, and you weren't preaching regularly, you would use, on occasion were known to use a sermon more than once. And I remember the sermon on spiritual vitamins.
Oh, for goodness sake. And you remember it twice?
Oh, more than twice, actually.
Well, I guess that was,
I don't remember it.
one of my,
You don't remember it?
No.
Cheryl remembers it.
Oh,
that
okay.
was one of my favorite sermons.
She can fax it to us.
Cheryl remembers it. He said she could fax
Oh,
it. to
sure.
us.
Oh, yeah.
And well, I guess while we're still talking about work, one of the values that you gave me was always going to work. You know, I guess unless you're half dead. And because I don't remember very many days that you stayed home from work.
You're absolutely correct.
And there may have been some. I don't.
In fact, I don't believe that he ever did.
And I remember him going off with some migraine headaches.
He would just feel awful sometimes, even have the flu or something. But the first time he ever, that I really remember him not going to work was when he had the colon cancer.
Yeah, and let me interject one of my cards that I had here. One Sunday morning he was just terribly whipped. He had I don't know if he had the flu or what, but then he remembered that he had this string of continuous Sunday morning attendance. You remember they had those sergeant
right.
Chevron deals, you know, and they had about 13 years worth of them. Kind of a Cal Ripken thing going there. And he didn't want to break the string, so he was going to get out of bed and go to Sunday school. And so I don't know, did we talk him out of it, or did he drag in his bathrobe? I can't remember. But anyway.
Well, I don't have quite the work attendance record that you did, but you did pass along that value, and I think it's a good value, and I think it's important.
Thank you. Love you, Dave. Love all of you.
Hey, easy, man. Well, I think
Now,
I'll talk
I
about
think
your...
Okay.
this would be a good time to call Cheryl.
Okay, but first, before we have any more talking, we're going to have a first. Dad and I are going to do a first, sing a duet together, which is
You and Dad?
On the Jericho Road.
I knew you were going to say that.
Dave is going to play for us. Any key. One key is as good as another.
This ought to be good.
You ready? Here, we got to warm up first. Money. You warmed up? Find a nice key for us. Be gentle. On the Jericho Road, there's room for just two. No more and no less, just Jesus and you. Each burden he'll bear, each sorrow he'll share. There's never a care, for Jesus is there, for Jesus is there. Not bad, if you didn't even practice.
No, I didn't even know about this.
You're impromptu.
Do you want to call Cheryl now and have?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that'd be good to
I'll
have a
call
break.
and then have Dad talk to her.
Are you the dialing Dave? Do you remember that? Oh, what was it, Mom?
What's the,
10236. Oh, you can't get, you have to get on the other phone
Why?
too. This one isn't programmed in.
well, I know the number.
Oh, okay.
And then you dial 1?
One,
Here, where did my camera go to?
Okay.
Now we're on TV.
Where did my camera go to?
Honey. And we just hope and pray that we'll just have some good days. Just keep praying for me, won't you, darling? Pardon? Oh, yes. That's really great. It's just wonderful to have such a wonderful family. Kids that really love me and are concerned about me and love me. And I know that feeling has been reversed. I love you too so much, and I'm just praying that God will give you His very, very best, like He does any of us. And people who even don't love Him, He loves us anyway, doesn't He? Yes.
Should we tell her?
Yeah, we just finished reading some of your things on your list. We're going to read some more.
Yeah, that was outstanding, Cheryl.
Right. But you had some real good things on there.
Yes,
It triggered some memories of my own.
Steve had some too. All you kids are just outstanding. Yes?
She said she wished she could be there with you.
Oh, I sure wish you could be too, honey. That would have been just wonder. That would have made it complete.
We got your pictures today. And they're real nice.
Yes?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been, we went to see the doctor today. It was sort of a hard day, but I think he's feeling pretty good right now. Yeah.
And we've been having some wonderful times together, and it was good music and a good atmosphere, and it's been wonderful. Hello. I thought we got cut off here. But are you still there, honey? Okay. Okay.
Are you on?
Oh, yeah.
Pardon me?
What did the doctor say?
Oh, well, he just, well, I don't know, maybe I'll ask Dave or Steve on that, see what the doctor said.
She didn't really have a lot more specific to say, just is prescribing a new medication to increase his appetite, and talked about adjusting the other medications, and said that the dosage could go up quite high. And then the hospice came out, hospice people came out this afternoon, and they were real helpful, had a lot of practical suggestions.
So, the outward news, Cheryl, is about the same, but we still have a great God. And we know that He can help and He can bring us out of this if it's His will. And I'd sure like to be around a long time yet to live for you kids and for Jesus. And for my wonderful wife, your mother. She's a great gal. Dr. Rao remembered you.
Did you hear that, Dad?
No, I'm sorry.
She says you're a great daddy.
Oh, thank you, honey. I've tried to be a good dad and live for Jesus and live for you kids. And I'm glad that you feel that way too, because it was just a wonderful time in my life when I could live like I could for you and for the Lord. Anyhow, the doctor remembered you, and she was going on about how wonderful you were. Well, I could have told her that too. A wonderful daughter. Yeah. Well, honey, Pardon me? Yeah, yeah, that's the bad part, but we're just happy that they were able to be here. Angela and Chris are going to stay till Saturday. Yeah. You know, so that'll help to make it a little easier on us, you know. Is that whenever they leave, it's going to be hard, but we just have to remember that we were so fortunate to have all you children this summer, and it's great to have good memories. And I know earlier they said they're going to have some kind of a program tonight. How you doing, Penny? Come here, Penny. Yes. Sit forward. You know. So, pardon me? Yeah, kind of a little party with all this stuff. Dave, I'm sorry. What? Oh, yeah, just a minute, Dave. I'm having a little trouble here, but that's it.
What'd you say, Cheryl? Oh, yeah. She said it's like sort of like a party with all the trivia stuff.
It's
Great big tree.
I guess I didn't understand.
It's sort of like a party with all the trivia
yes,
stuff.
Yes, it's like a... It wasn't that important. But my appetite isn't very good, but I'm trying to eat a little bit. But mostly we're just having a wonderful time together. And as I look on the faces of these children and grandchildren, it's just marvelous, Cheryl, that God has been so good to me to give me such a great family. And
you can look at our pictures. I just did them.
Yeah, right. And
some of us. I don't think we all got them.
yeah, we're videotaping this, so you can. I'll send you a copy later on.
You are being recorded.
Well, I'm gonna hang up.
yes, and Cheryl, remember this, Cheryl. We love you.
I love you.
And always keep close to Jesus. Because if I go up there, I'm gonna look for you when I go. It could be a while, but I don't know. Right now.
I don't know what God has in mind.
Well, sure be glad that I've raised my children in the fear of the Lord. And that's what I'm glad I did. And the grandchildren, too, are living for Jesus, and that's so important, isn't it? Well, darling, I suppose I better let you go. And if we had this new video telephone, then we could really be like a party right here with all three of you kids. Yeah. Well, thank you, Cheryl. I love you too, and God bless you and your wonderful husband and your children. And just keep close to the Lord.
Tell everyone hello for me.
Pardon?
Tell everybody hello for me, okay? Tell everyone hello.
Oh, yes, I will.
Okay.
Okay, darling.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Next, let's hear from the founding president of the Christ First Club and her memories.
Okay, most of our time that we spent together was spent in the camper, because we've only been here once before.
Yeah.
And I remember playing lots of Skippo.
Yeah.
Chris can back me up on that. We
Right
played
on
so
Skip-Bo, are you kidding?
much Skippo with that automatic card shuffler.
Oh, yeah.
That was very fun.
Yeah, we did play a lot of Skippo.
It came out our ears.
Pardon?
It came out our ears.
Grandma was always the one to win. Never without a doubt, she always wins.
Well, I didn't realize that.
You know you did. You're always smart.
And,
Carry
this
on.
one was just a recent one that was like 10,000, and I like that. It's pretty fun.
You like 10,000?
Yeah, yeah,
Goes pretty fast too.
yeah.
Fast game.
Yeah, I won a lot, so.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what you
I suppose
That's what I
that's
like
pretty
it.
important.
Yeah. And, I don't think I'll ever forget the gorilla joke. I
Oh.
don't think anybody else.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if anybody remembers the gorilla joke.
Oh, God.
Oh. Tell us again.
It goes with the bananas, you see.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you tell the gorilla joke, Grandpa?
We haven't heard. Yeah.
Get it on.
Yeah.
Just give us the punchline, how about that? That'll bring it back.
Number 21.
You
told it wrong. You told it wrong.
You were seriously, Marty?
Give us the punchline.
Oh, yeah. Let's hear the gorilla.
Oh,
We're videotaping this.
Oh, that, yeah, other people here. Okay.
And the idea was that the young man wanted some money to go to Olivet, and he would go back to school in the fall, so he just wanted a summer job. So he went there to the zoo and see if he could get on. Well, he got on okay, and they said, well, we'll pay you $10 an hour. And they said, he said, well, I guess for $10 an hour I can do that. And so he put on a gorilla suit and walked around in the cage and waved at the kids and ate
Gorillas don't wave at kids.
Minor detail.
This gorilla did. He was an unusual gorilla. So he finally he waved at the kids and ate bananas, and so one day he noticed the trapeze up there, and he decided he's gonna swing around on the trapeze and just have a good time. And so the trapeze got out of control. He landed over on the floor of the next cage, and he said, well, I am going to get killed. Help, let me out of here. So he kept yelling and screaming, and all at once the lion said, shut up, you're going to get us both fired.
Got it, for all posterity.
That's right.
Into the time capsule.
That's right. Stuff it in right now.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and, remember that one time we went to the Sun baseball game?
I remember a few times when I
Oh, you went a couple times?
About 3 or 4
which
times.
time are you referring to?
That's, well, just in general, I remember that. And, that's our local team, by the way. The Sun.
Double A.
Yeah, double A.
Suns, yes.
Okay. And, the Christchurch Club, and it was great that you could come. I was so glad.
Oh, we enjoyed it very much. We always enjoyed being with you, and just, it's just so marvelous that we're able to be with you.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish I was able to be with all the grandkids, all the kids at the same time, but we've come close. I don't know that we've ever all been together, but
50th was about close.
Yeah, the 50th.
pardon?
The 50th.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right, yeah. That's 6 years ago when we had our 50th anniversary. That was one thing I remember about, where's there? Oh, there's Michael. Where's Chris?
Right there.
Oh, there. Anyhow, no. I'm sorry, but I'll still say hi.
Okay, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good.
I just stopped through the door. How you doing? My arms are
It
tired.
was Mike. Mom got me a new watch for our 50th anniversary and a new wedding ring. And so I showed it to Mike, and he looked at it and he said, oh, Grandpa, a Bell Glass watch. Oh, I fine, but who in the world is Bill Blass? And find out that he's some kind of a designer or puts his name on watches, and then one of the children sent me a shirt later on with a Bill Blass design on it. And so I believe it was you, David, not one of you, I don't remember.
It was them.
And so I really enjoyed this watch. And we had a great time on our 50th. It was great that everybody was able to be here.
Okay. And, Grandma was so, hospitable when she cooked us waffles.
Oh.
We were so successful.
Oh, you mean waddles?
Waddle.
Uncle Dave used to call them
Okay.
waddles.
What's the difference between waffles and pancakes?
Oh, let's see. Oh, a waffle is a pancake with a non-skid tread on it.
You're right. Hey, you win the grand prize.
Yeah, what's the grand prize? Triple Hawaii.
25 pounds of pancake syrup and 25 pounds of pancake mix.
This quick.
It has to be crusties
Oh, is it
and pure
crusties?
maple syrup.
Crusty.
Who would buy that much pancake syrup?
Yeah, who'd buy that much pancake syrup, Dad?
Only the person that much pancake mix.
Anyone with 25 pounds of pancake mix?
Yeah, that was Grandpa Crane. I told him we were at a Cracker Barrel on the way down to visit Steve and Carol and the kids, and so they had in their souvenir shop, among other things, they had real pancake mix, pancake syrup, genuine, what do you call it?
Maple syrup.
Maple syrup. And they had them all the way from little cans like that up to 25 pounds, 25, I guess,
Gallons.
So, Carl and I got talking, and I said something about who in the world would buy this much maple syrup? And he said, well, anybody that would have 25 pounds of pancake mix.
Which he had just bought. A big
bag. Yeah, that's what
Big Sam's Club.
was given to me by Dave and
And we went through all those years with the same
I don't think we ever did change
waffle
that
iron,
waffle
but
mix.
just the last time you guys came, it broke.
Yeah.
Not just you go all those years, we went all those
Yeah.
years. That goes back to what, Janesville? Probably?
Janesville.
So, yeah.
Where's Janesville?
I guess you got your $2 worth out of it.
And so where's Janesville?
Wisconsin. That's before I was born.
I know we use that for, and then I think, I just took that pancake, that waffle iron and tried to fix it, and it worked just for, I think, a little bit, and then it blew. So Grandma decided that we'd buy a new one. So I went down to the big lot store down there and
Grandpa decided
Grandpa pretty much.
that he would get a new one, and he got it for me for my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
But he early birthday gift.
yeah, because
So that
Because
we
we wanted some
could,
waffles, of course, some waddles.
so that we could feed Chris and Angela their waffles.
And he could have his own.
And he probably had that in mind too.
Okay. I didn't understand what. But, remember that sticker in your camper? My boss is a Jewish conference.
yes,
I was just commenting that it's cute.
a lot of people look at that and try to figure out what it meant, but you didn't analyze it as Jesus.
No, I was talking about this. Oh, okay. That reminds me that, there must be one in here. The, Jesus written in Arabic.
Oh, yeah.
You told us that it was some foreign language on this, that Grandma had sewn, when really it was just the outline of, you read it wrong, it was just you, just that one in the kitchen.
I think,
I believe you.
well, it was written.
She believes you when you said
well,
that.
I was just teasing it.
Oh, really? She was just, now she realizes that.
I expect Grandma made dozens of those. And I said, through the years, I said, hey, have you given this to so-and-so? Oh, yeah. I said, boy, is there anybody you haven't given it to?
Not too many.
Yeah. So almost every one of our friends and family and loved ones have gotten one of those from Mom. Somebody said, why don't you sell them? You make some money. But it was more fun just to give them away.
Wouldn't be near as much fun if you was making them to sell.
I think of all the
Then it would seem like a job or something.
that she has made through the years, I think she only ever sold one thing. I'm not even sure of that.
Oh yeah, that's when we were going on to Nairobi on this bus trip, and I was making that that frog saying "Welcome to my pad," and somebody saw it, and there was someone they wanted to give a birthday present to, or Christmas or something, that was collected frogs, and asked me if I would do it, you know. And so I fixed her one, and then she wanted to know how much, and so I said, oh, $3.50, you know. I
Pay for your material.
yeah.
Oh, dear.
So she acted like she was getting a bargain, but it wasn't, you know, she wasn't anyone that I would be apt to have made something for. She wanted it to give to somebody else. So it's the only thing I never even tried to sell that, but.
How you doing, Danmore?
Were you the one who introduced us to Adventures in Odyssey? Adventures in Odyssey?
Yeah, that was the 50th.
Yeah,
I
we
listened
probably
to
did.
it there, not
Okay.
the 50th.
I remember listening to that at the time with y'all. You guys
That's always a good program.
Yeah.
did. Okay, and I think that you have a different name, right?
Oh, you mean my complete name?
Your name is Francis Santa Claus Vidal.
Yeah? Yeah. Yeah, I was known as Santa Claus. I think I did that for about 6 years. And I got a picture of your uncle sitting on my lap.
You look so funny. Up so tall, you know, the hair so straight. You know, people sitting on Santa Claus' lap, they're usually cuddling down.
You had that same leather jacket you had the first time?
Oh, yeah.
It's funny to see that, you know, it was, I don't know how many successive years, same jacket. First year, nice and crisp, and then, you know, about third year, it's sort of black and white.
At Graham's, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's all I have, but.
Well, honey, thank you so much.
With the helmet and goggles that you had.
You gonna? Okay, go ahead.
The helmet and goggles.
Oh, you had a,
Yeah.
like an aviation.
Next, Dr. Dunbar's prize student.
Here comes my lovely
Well,
daughter.
Dad, the first time I met you, you were working at Ward, and you were busy training my future husband, and he was helping you work, and I remember feeling so at home when you're at your house, and realizing then that I would probably always be a part of your family, and I was very warmly welcomed. The scary thing, and I don't know if I ever shared with you guys, I've told other people, but I was really confused when I first started dating Dave. And well, in fact, I was really confused because we realized we liked each other, but he was still going with somebody.
No.
He was still going with Patty, and it was rumored all around that they were probably going to announce their engagement. Well, that threw me into a real
I didn't know anything about that.
a lot of confusion
college
because
rumor.
I realized that I was really head over heels over him. And so whenever I had big problems, it really made my prayer life increase. And so I was really praying about it. I was losing weight. I was doing poorly in school. I had to drop 2 classes. I just couldn't keep up in my studies.
Well, you were.
Because of him?
Yeah.
Really?
And so God answered my prayer.
Things I
And
haven't heard.
it's never happened since, but he answered my prayer in like a dream. And he told me in the confusion of my night that Dave was the one I was to marry. And it has gotten me through a lot of rough times. But I knew when I met you that you would be my soul. And when Mom said, don't let this one get away, I realized that God was working all this out. I made a very foolish mistake. Dave and I were sitting in the chapel, and he would play for my voice adjudications, and I would sing his songs that he wrote for his adjudications. And so we were sitting in there one night, and I thought God would probably tell him the same dream. Would tell us both. And so we were sitting in the chapel holding hands, and I said, oh, isn't it wonderful the way we just had this, I don't know, what did I say? We have this special feeling, and things have gone so quickly.
Yeah, it definitely had connotations for the future.
Yes. And he got this most scared look on his face. And I could tell by his frightened expression that God had not told him the same.
At least not more.
Not yet.
That's true, yeah.
And boy, did I shut my mouth. And
Has he told you yet?
and since then, when I have ever read the story when the angel came to Mary and told her she was to have Christ, the child, the Holy One, inside of her, and the scripture said, and she kept all these things in her heart. And that verse has always just popped out to me, because I knew that sometimes God tells us something that maybe he doesn't even tell our mates, and that we can hold all these things in our hearts, and that's what we should do. But you were a part of all that, and I thank God for that. And another confirmation and affirmation into the family was, I remember the first year after I knew you, you sent me a birthday gift and a birthday card. And my family, we didn't pay attention to birthdays yet. And we have been taught that, thanks to your family, to remember. And now our kids have always had special days on their birthday, and now all of our family, we celebrate birthdays now all the time. But when I was growing up, my folks hadn't even remembered my own birthday. I was living at home. And when that gift and card came, and it was from you guys, my folks just, they thought, my goodness, what's going on? And they go, oh, it is your birthday, isn't it?
Oh, boy.
And they were just so amazed that you would.
What did I send?
You sent me dusting powder.
Is that right?
Bath powder, I'll never forget it. I don't know what the card was about, but I do remember that
For goodness sake.
it was something very feminine and nice. And then, of course, I will always remember that you performed our wedding ceremony.
Yes, I remember that too, and I
And
was so honored.
Yes, and we were honored too. And you have done a good job. It was sealed tightly.
Yes.
And then, of course, I'll never forget the case of ketchup. For a wedding gift, the case of ketchup for a wedding gift.
Well, that was a joke, of
They
course.
do my little idiosyncrasies of putting ketchup on everything.
Oh, we thought that was hilarious.
And then, of course, down.
I think that was Grandpa's idea.
See?
But I have happen to like ketchup too.
Yeah, we knew we had that in common too, besides the sun.
Well, we didn't think just a bottle of ketchup, we thought a whole cake.
And
You never know what she might
I've
need.
never gotten over that. I always buy big still. You know, I buy everything by the case. I buy 25 and 50 pounds of all
Pancake
kinds of pancake mix. We don't do pancake mix, but we do buy big quantities of lots of other stuff.
So we're responsible for that.
I don't know if you're responsible, but it's stuck. Buying that big stuff.
How long did you have the ketchup?
Oh, it lasted a long time because my horizons increased a lot. Dave got me all kinds of spices that scared the poop out of me. I had to learn how to use all these spices right after we were married. So I thought, good grief, I better learn to cook with all these spices. So then I kind of got new tastes and I didn't have to put ketchup on everything. All these new adventures and spices. Oh, let me see. Well, those are the things that stuck in my mind. If I think of any more, I'll type up.
Hey.
That's it.
Let's bring up the gold medal Olympic hiker.
Who's that?
Let him bring his memories.
Who's that?
Here's my wonderful grandson.
Was the very, 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 very earliest that I ever remember you giving me pleasure at or anything at all about you. I was sitting right over yonder on the same wall. I was sitting right over there, and you had a big chair. You were wanting to play games like Little Piggies, you know. This little piggy, and this little piggy, and
Let me say, that's when you were real small.
and got your nose.
Oh,
Oh, I forgot about the Dusty Bill.
Well, I never, you know, this was the nose, but kind of never fooled me. Kind of looked too much like a thumb, you know. Nose doesn't have little swirls and fingerprints all over it, but it was still a good game because I was too young for Irma.
boy.
Huh?
Probably Emma.
Hold it.
wonderful, wonderful. Okay.
Continue that.
I don't think I ever figured this one out. He did the magic sweeps.
Oh, yeah.
And he did the sweep, and I was, how do you do that? You know, magic sweep. Come on.
You guys know what they're talking about?
No.
To make the windshield wiper move by
Yeah.
just
You know how it goes and then stops, and he would know just about when he'd slap that,
And
and
they go, magic sweep. I was 2 and I was absolutely stunned. You got me for hours on that one. Magic sweep. There you go, Grandpa.
and Angela was so afraid of the car wash. When you go for
Both of them.
I hear you.
I kinda like
We're not the only kids that were.
That is
But,
frightening.
do you think you could do the
Yeah,
patty
maybe.
cake one more time? You think you could do patty cake? Do you remember patty cake?
Yeah, Patty cake, baker's man. Bake me a cake as fast as you can. Roll it up and mark it with a T and throw it in the oven for
Christopher and me.
3.
And I mean, this was the thing that just kept us like hours and hours going and going. And it was just, do it again, Grandpa. No, I don't think so. We had a lot of times when we could just go out places, like the times you took us 3 or 4 times down to the YMCA in the early wee hours of the morning, and to us, of course, it was like what started the day before. We got up, and you know, it seemed like the little kids. You took us down, and we did your little swim aerobics in the water, and we had and we got around, and we had a lot of good times doing that. So
We sure did.
yeah, I enjoyed that. We got to swim and be with you guys during the 50th mostly, and you know, just things like that. We got to travel like crazy. Like we would just up the coast, and we went. You remember the one time we went to Harmony? We talked to those people
Oh.
from Canada,
Oh yeah, where they had the Roofless Church.
the Roofless
Foreign
Church,
country.
and they had a lot of campgrounds, and we would just, you know, Canadians, and we go touring around the entire country.
Oh yeah.
When I was probably 3, we went down to what was in central Florida, and I called it Big Florida. Oh, we're going to Big Florida. We saw the orange trees, and we just we're just, you could scrape off the roof with that static, and we just had. Well, I was probably half a year old, maybe 2 years old, and we went to the Passion Play. But I do remember the PP Passion Play because right during the middle of the play, I was trying to change a diaper, and they were there trying to change me, and I remember distinctly the, what's wrong, Grandpa?
Oh my.
So you know, we'd find places like the monkey joke Angela was saying, but I'm glad that we had one joke that at least the whole world, or 99.9% of it knows. At this point, I don't think it really matters anymore because it's such a great joke, but I'm glad we've got it on tape because that's your joke. Am I wrong or am I right?
No.
And she already said that we played a lot of 10,000. But there was those nights when y'all came down, and in the camper, and we would just sit there and talking and playing 10,000 and eating pretzels till you know 3 in the morning. Okay, it's time to call it quits. Well, we can have another game of 10,000.
Y'all remember the honeymooners game?
The honeymooners game.
Yeah.
Then Grandpa had been bought a game of honeymooners.
Oh,
I gave it to him for Christmas, and we all played it. Remember that?
And we all played it.
the honeymooners.
Yeah.
The idea of the game was you had to circulate until you got this. You remember the idea? You had to circulate until you got this one card. Baby, you're the greatest. No, it's to the baby, you're the greatest. If you drew the card, you would win the game. One time we were we had a round of it. And we were reading it, and Grandma got to the last one. She draws the card. Baby, you're the greatest.
Oh boy.
Then if we ever finished the game where they were just playing, Grandma came in first. Grandma came in first. Hi-ho the dairy-o, Grandma came in first.
Chris came in second.
Chris came in second. Hi-ho the dairy-o, Chris came in second.
Daddy came in third.
Daddy came in third. Hi-ho the dairy-o, Daddy came in third.
Yay.
And it was that sort of thing. Angela really lost.
We never said that, we never said anybody lost.
Oh.
Yeah.
We were just contextually challenged.
Grandpa kicked butt. Grandpa kicked butt. The value that, but, you know, you've always taught me values and such. One of the greatest values you've always taught me, people are not your enemy. You always would approach somebody. You know, I think you would, if you're given the time and the place, you would start a conversation with the toll booth manager. It didn't matter who you are. And he's always taught me to just approach anybody, you know, and just be able to open up and have them come back at you and without your, you know, your influence on others. I don't see how you do that, but you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do, and I would hear you say that.
One value that will come with us, no matter where you are.
Thank you. Love you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, let me take an interlude since I got the heaviest stack here.
We get to move around.
You kids got something?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't told about it, but I did think of one thing.
Okay, well, give me a shot here.
You won't have.
Okay, this is,
I just want to be real.
this might be on hers or should be on Cheryl's list, but anyway, remember that you and Cheryl were fishing and you caught this fish or plankton or they caught an amoeba on the hook and Dad just couldn't bear to have her throw it back, so they took it in and you cooked it up on the frying pan, right?
Yeah. About this big. Cheryl was so tickled she'd caught a fish.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the game warden wasn't around that day.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I wasn't even thinking about that.
Then there was the time, this is a standalone activity, I've never heard of this happening before, when Dad was calling the list of men for the men's fellowship breakfast at Bethel, and he got the wrong number.
Oh, I remember that.
And it was the guy had the same first name, and they were both barbers. And oh, hey Dick, we're having this breakfast Saturday morning, and you know, it says how are things at the barber shop, you know, and he just was answering back, you know, and they went along, and I don't know how many minutes it took to discover that it was the wrong person, but they had a good laugh, and the kicker was the guy came. So let's go through the whole phone book.
Now.
Remember that, don't you?
Yes, I sure do.
Dad even took a stab at choir directing at the EUB church. You remember when, let's gather a few minutes after the service and we'll practice, we did something on the hymnal and says, we don't have, on the part where it says the light comes, we don't have flashlights to show the ceiling, but we'll just do it without. Remember he said that? But,
I think I do, yeah.
but we never did show up with flashlights, but, you know, at least the idea was there. I guess that's where Dave and I get our start in directing. And after church, of course, then Dad'd say, well, how about let's have some softies on the way home. That was always music to our ears, wasn't it? Soft ice cream. We go to the place by the low cost there, down at the bottom of the hill, and get us.
Life was a little more plush by that point.
Yes, and well, we had a dime each for those, and then so the four of us got 4 softies for 40 cents. And memories. Then we got our license. Yeah, this is like the magic sweepstakes. Dad would just go along with these things and fool you on this, like it was CBL something or other. Dad says, hey, they knew all about us. It's the Clayton Bible League. You know, and forever I thought that was what that meant. And that was just like later on in the list, but the same kind of thing. We were on a vacation, and I thought we were near Mount Rushmore because it was the same kind of terrain, same kind of road and all this. And I thought we were near that. And you know how when you come to Mount Rushmore and you're about to get there, there's that tunnel you go through, and you can see the monument through the tunnel, you know. So I said, well, maybe it's around this corner. And they goes, oh, let's see. You know, so maybe it's the next corner. We're probably 3 states away, but let's see if it's this one. Oh. He would have gotten until we were in high school, probably. Let's look around this one. No, it's the desert, but maybe it's there. And then Patterson's roller rink. How many Mondays a year did we go to those? 30 or 40 probably, I don't know. And we'd pack up and go, the whole bunch of us.
Patterson's roller skating.
And then when they do the fast skating, Dad would just laugh at these guys cooking out there. He thought that was pretty humorous. Remember that? You know, they would close it to amateurs or the slow skaters and just let the and that was always amusing to do. I don't know why you never did try it. You skated for long enough.
I know, but I guess I just didn't get quite enough courage to do that part.
Let's get some skates and take a try. Then here's something about Dad. Dad would always go to this one barber who was struggling in business. It was down in the nowhere section of Spokane. One of those deals where you had to go down the stairs below the.
Spokane was nowhere.
Yeah, well, this is a new section of nowhere. You had to go down below the street to this barber shop. And do you remember this guy? I don't even know how you found him, much less the.
Well, I think he had a big sign out there that said haircut 50 cents, so that's probably why I found him.
And his slogan, remember his slogan?
Oh, yeah. If your haircuts aren't becoming to you, you should be coming to me.
Yeah, right. Dad felt sorry for the guy because he was struggling in business, so he made sure to always get his haircuts there.
Oh, but then eventually, though, you may not know this, his business started to boom, and he was getting up in years, but so he didn't want to go out of business then, but he wanted to just kind of slow down a bit. So somebody suggested that maybe he raise the price of his haircuts. And the union barber shops were getting like $1.50, and somebody suggested he raise the price. So he raised the price to 75 cents. And it didn't make
twice as much business.
It didn't make much difference. The business kept on booming anyway.
Yeah.
Why didn't I do this 2 years ago?
Then who will forget the Vidal drivers in the pallet pushers contest? And all the side little there's a different prize and contest every week, and the grand prize or towards the end was a cake baked by Dad, and we're talking about a from scratch cake, and one by Reverend Pallet, and Mom told him what to do, but she did not touch anything because she knew that everybody would ask if she did it right. But Dad did the entire thing himself. Has he made the cake since?
No.
And let's see. Oh, then here in this house, when I had my paper out, and it was snowing somewhat several times, I said, well, I think the snow's too heavy for your bike. Let's go out and do the route in the car. We've been doing the route in the car ever since.
I remember we helped the kids, Dave and Cheryl too, in Spokane when they had the big Progress edition one year, and it was like 25 below zero. And
I'll never ever forget that day.
Second coldest day of the year.
Yeah.
The coldest is the day before, when I did it by myself.
No, I think this one was a Sunday trip.
Yeah, right.
And
huge.
And it was light.
Biggest newspaper that Spokane ever published, I think. And,
It was like an hour or so late, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, and we had to sit there and, oh, it was so cold. I remember
had
I
the whole
drove and you took one side of the street and Dad took the other.
Mom drove and Cheryl.
Cheryl was home alone, I guess.
Where was that? Summer camp?
Both of you were home alone.
Winter camp.
Yeah, we just,
Whatever happened to Steve? He's at the Texaco station.
Trying to find it.
I never mentioned this before, but I wonder if you ever calculated how many accumulated hours we spent at Sunday dinner, after Sunday dinner, telling jokes. Probably in the multiplied thousands, you suppose.
Could be, all right.
Great times and great memories. And Dave talked about working with Dad. Dad always liked to work with me. I remember always he worked with me at golf and independent and serving subpoenas. And he worked with me at Bortman and even worked a couple years ago when I had the flu and I was too weak to lift the bundles, so Dad came and lifted the bundles. I did the light work and he did the heavy lifting.
Yeah, that was sort of a chore for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was starting to slow down then, but it could have been this starting already, I don't know.
But that night you were much abler to do it than I was.
Oh, yeah.
you were sick.
Yeah, for that night, I sure was.
And I remember I just felt so sorry for Dad getting up because I knew he didn't feel that great to get up and go out. Oh no, I've got to go with Steve, you know. He wouldn't.
And even this last time, he came to help do some Sunday inserting. I think you got about 50 of them done, didn't you? Something like that, yeah. Oh, 50's a good start, Dad.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping.
I know delivering the stuff for you.
Yeah. Yeah. You never helped me. Oh, yeah, you did. Okay. I just contradicted myself. And Cheryl mentioned the deal of pulling the bread out, and we had that and the Abraham Lincoln's devotional.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
And various things we did for breakfast devotions. And breakfast every day, like Cheryl mentioned, yeah. And then we had the world's smallest wedding for you and the world's largest 50th for you.
Yeah. That's
You
right.
know, sort of a record each way. I think it was the record is smallest and largest in each direction.
That's probably true, all right. But 6 at the wedding, and 260 maybe.
What wedding are we talking about?
Our wedding.
Oh.
Yeah, they had to
We
they had to
just had a-
basically exclude anyone because of if you had anyone, then someone would say, well, I didn't.
Dad
do
was
it.
pastor of the church and Mom was not well at all. So we really weren't up to having a church wedding, and you wouldn't dare invite one person without offending everybody else. So decided the best way was to just have family. And
Oh.
apparently
You gave us a lot of good memories.
Ruth and Vic were too young to stand up for a wedding, but nobody knew it. Found out later they were too young, but we're married.
Oh, one more. We gotta have this one. Hope you're all ready to chorus in. So we're traveling down the Chicago freeway for almost the first time. Oh no, I'm in the wrong lane. Let's get off of this lane and oh no, blue lights. Ready? Everybody together. Ooh la la, die Vidal, lieber zu, Bourbonnais. Have more.
That's all I got out of it.
That's right.
Okay, you have one for us? One right on up.
Well, I was just thinking as we were all talking that the one memory I have is when you and Grandma would come up to Longview and visit us at Christmas time, and how excited I know I was, and I think Mike was too, to have you guys come, and we would like wait in anticipation days before you guys would come, and it made it seem so much more like a celebration when you and fun.
Well, thank you, we sure enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I remember the time when we played Monopoly for 7 nights in a row. It was like an ongoing game. It was one game too.
And you won 7 nights.
No, I think I lost actually. I think I was the first one to bankrupt.
Oh, sure.
So sad.
Great to have you.
Yeah, we set the time and played for so long.
Yeah.
Then it was
we played
time to
like
go to bed.
an hour a night or something. It was fun.
And what did Grandpa call you?
He called me sugar, I remember when I was little. And then I remember once I wanted to go outside, and he wouldn't let me because he told me I would melt.
Isn't that sweet? And what did you call Grandpa?
I don't think I
Mom, you remember this?
did. I call you something?
Yeah, Papa.
Huh.
You
I
know,
don't
because
remember that.
you were telling that story about, says, that she had a dress to tie that
Yeah.
bow on the back,
Oh,
says,
yeah, when you...
and someone else was going to do it, says, no, Papa.
Papa, yeah.
Your dress and,
Yeah.
I made a bad bowl, you know,
Yeah.
like a man would. And
We're trying to clear it, you know, not just a little dainty
Always
gopher.
turns her on. He has never told that one time without getting excited about it.
How did he make it, Grandma?
Just pushes her button every time.
Now she's holding your hand.
When she just looks so cute, and then this big part of the back, and then just throw there.
You're right, Dave.
Papa did it. That's the
And
main
I tried to sneak back of her and reach for it. Oh boy, she.
Papa.
Papa did that.
we went to church with your bowl.
A big boat.
The way I wanted it.
Papa did this.
Papa signature.
Grandma didn't want you crying.
I sure didn't.
Not when they poked her away.
You get your balance there?
Do you have anything you want to say, Mike?
No,
No,
you
you
have
gotta
to get
get
the
up
hot
You gotta get to the witness stand.
Gotta go up there with Papa.
Well, I remember coming back, and I guess what I remember most, yes, as a kid playing baseball with Grandpa. We'd play catch, and we'd hit the ball,
Put her there, partner.
and put her there, partner, yes, and that was weird. I hadn't remembered that, or I hadn't thought about that for years until
Steve said,
Lett
yeah.
said that, yeah. Put her there, partner, it was just like,
Whoa!
that was a blast from the past. But yeah, that was always first words out of your mouth. Put her there, partner.
Yeah. Partner.
But I remember hitting the ball all the way to Chicago.
That's right.
All the way to Chicago.
All the way to Chicago.
Yeah. Chicago Cubs all the way.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a little kid.
You remember what? Oh.
Papa.
Well, you said we hit that baseball all the way to Chicago. Said we're the Dodger Cub team.
Yeah, I wasn't always the most accurate. But,
Two.
I don't
2
think
years old, I
either
guess
team
you would
would
know.
appreciate that. But, we were the Dodger Cub team.
yeah.
Great days.
Yeah. I also remember coming here to the house for Christmas.
I'm getting a bow and arrow.
Getting a bow and arrow,
Boy,
yeah.
was that hard to take on the plane.
I remember also, I think we were, I must have been asleep in the doorway here or something, and I don't know if you guys were in the bed in there and Steve's room there, but I remember sneaking out, creeping the door open, crawling out on my stomach, you know. Pitch black, and I could not see a thing, you know, till I got about this far away from a bow and arrow. Lord knows I couldn't sleep much the rest of the night after that. After I had to, like, he'd go back in the room and not touch any of the stuff. I was very much excited when we left in the middle of the night, red-eye flight to come to Chicago to see Grandpa and Grandma for Christmas.
And would Santa come?
Santa come?
Santa know we were going
Would
to
they
get
know
these
we were
notes?
going to be halfway across the country?
Not to worry.
Santa right there.
Because that's him.
But those were my biggest memories.
Well, we remember some of those too, and a lot more about your graduation and different things.
Oh, yeah.
Recent years.
Yeah. It was very good to have you come out.
Sure.
Visit us for graduation.
Glad we could be there for your graduation. Cherie's too. It was just great. And I'll tell you, everyone has been so great. So wonderful. I'm glad I have a wonderful family. I couldn't have picked out a better family if I'd have done it myself.
You did it yourself.
Now, let's get this straight here.
Now, you're just trying to be an irresponsible parent. Now, you did all this.
Well, whether you picked it or not, you certainly are responsible for it.
Well, yeah.
You know in those
There you
solid
go.
times.
It was the Lord that helped me do that. Absolutely. Okay.
Dave's got a few more.
I've got another after that. I don't think anybody here knows.
Well, see, I've got a couple more, a few more things from Cheryl. Find out where I am here. Oh yes, well, we just talked about Christmas, staying awake all night Christmas Eve, listening to rattling packages. Summer walks to the public swimming pool, after, of course, waiting the designated half hour after lunch. And this longing for our own backyard pool. Never do that. Never do this. Never what she wanted.
But she's got one now.
And she remembers somehow being credited for Dave's ability to swim. It's true, she taught me how to swim.
Oh, really?
Well, I remember when we lived up on Market Street, you guys signed me up for a course at the swimming pool, to learn to swim. Well, they went through the first stages, and they went on to the middle stages and the late stages, but I never got past the first stages. Somehow that, they failed to notice that, and now is the last day of the class, and everyone is supposed to jump in a 12-foot pool and swim across, and I'd never gotten past step one, so I was I was just petrified, and I never went in the water. I sat there, cried, and felt humiliated and all that stuff, and so I never tried to swim for quite a while. Meanwhile, Cheryl took a swimming course, and she learned how to swim. So now we're down at Mission Pool, and so I think I must have asked her, and somehow that time it clicked in my mind that you weren't going to automatically drop to the bottom of the pool if you just held your breath, and so she showed me how to face float, and then I basically taught myself after that.
Well,
That's what that was all about.
I never ever knew that. I never knew that any of this about that you being so terrified of.
Oh yeah, it was total terror. Looking at baby Steve from upstairs while having chicken pox.
Oh.
I remember that. You remember seeing us up through the grate?
I remember getting chicken pox from you.
Being left alone at the gas station.
yeah, I figured she'd bring that
That's
up.
right. Are we on yet?
Yeah, the two of you sitting there is so funny. Two of you both sitting straight up, looking straight ahead. I was sitting there, come on, get on record, dang it.
Having tonsils out and coming home to a pile of gifts. Got any presents when I had my tonsils out?
Oh, I bet you did.
I didn't either.
Turned out.
I'll put them back in. So I can get them back out again. How's that? I didn't even get the Jello or ice cream either for that matter.
They probably beat you too, didn't they?
Spending nights with Grandma Vidal. Don't remember that much.
I think she means Grandma Enoch. She spent nights with Grandma Enoch.
No, we spent some time with Grandma Vidal.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Did you?
Well, you guys took a trip to New York, wasn't it, or someplace?
Yeah, just me.
Oh, was it just you?
I went with, the folks were going.
Oh.
Dad was going back to see his old army mate that he was in the war with.
Oh.
That's Grandpa Enoch.
And
Yeah.
so they asked me to go along, and so Grandma Dividell came up to stay with you kids. So I could go, because Dad was working.
I guess that was my cab driving days.
Well, I remember we were happy to see you back.
Well, I'm glad you were happy to see me back.
That triggered off another memory I'll have to bring up later on. Sunday church services, of course. Sunday night cereal suppers. Oh, I'd forgotten about that.
Oh, that's right. We used to, many Sunday nights we had cereal.
Dave was a great at-night cereal eater.
We were all Olympic class. That one time after church, I think we stopped by, picked up a few groceries on the way home. We bought a box of it was Jets, of like Tricks, and we demolished that instantly. As soon as we got home, we just everybody had a bowl and was gone.
None for the weekend. It says, Dad doing our wedding ceremony in clerical robes. That's probably the only time in your life, wasn't it? This year?
Probably, yeah. I don't think we did. I did your wedding.
In clerical robes?
Mine just about did it in a bathrobe.
The significance of this would be...
Just about did it in a bathrobe because they were short on the tuxes, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Just 'cause not being in a liturgical church, he never had clerical robes on.
Oh, okay.
Visiting the sick in the hospital, especially my friend who was burned and later died. Who was that?
Oh, yeah, that,
Oh, I hadn't thought about that in years.
I know.
She went to all of that?
No, this was in Spokane.
This little girl had got in the closet and played with matches or something. And I'm pretty sure that's one she's referring to, that she would have been about Cheryl Hayes.
Oh, it was just pathetic how that she was. It was a pathetic situation. As a friend of Cheryl's.
And how old?
Oh, how old do you think she was?
Well, it was about Cheryl Hayes.
Yeah, but how old was when this happened?
Like grade school or high school?
Yeah,
Like
I suppose
Maybe 10 or 11.
8 or 10 or so.
10 or
High school,
11.
in the closet, playing with matches.
Oh, wow.
Might have been younger.
High school would be more like sex.
Yeah.
Got burned?
Well, I remember fire.
Yeah, there's a different kind of fire.
I remember you took me over to this kid, Woody, somebody or other, who had got in a car accident. I think he'd been drinking, was paralyzed. It wasn't, he'd gone to my grade school, but I never was really very good friends with him. But I remember I think probably he wanted to teach me a lesson.
Maybe I did.
Dave, do you remember when you had your tonsils out and there was
Oh, yeah.
a boy that had leukemia?
That was my first contact with
And I think he was just, he only lived a few days after that. But you, he liked you, we'd gotten you one of these it was around 4th of July, sparklers, that thing that you clicked and it would,
That flint thing.
and he liked it so well that you gave it to him. And I just thought that was the most touching thing. Because you liked that so, and that was a real
I still remember the toilet
sacrifice.
thing, but I don't remember giving it to him.
Yeah, you gave it to him out of your own, you just wanted to, and I think, didn't we take you, when he died, to the funeral home to see him?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really understand much of what death was about.
But that was probably your first real generous, where you'd give something out of that you really liked. Because you really liked that sparkler thing.
I remember getting ice cream.
I
And
didn't get ice cream.
Boy, you
seem a little bitter about this.
And I didn't get in the parade either.
You know what this is? This is the world's smallest violin.
Playing for the parade that I
Playing the
didn't get in on.
smallest song in the world.
My heart crushed for you. Okay, taking care of the house with Dad after Mom's hysterectomy. Mom and Dad helping out after our children's births. Celebrating Mom's birthday at Mimi's in Yorba Linda. And she remembers the 50th anniversary, of course. And Dad's 80th birthday, especially surprising him with Steve. That was
Yeah, that was a big surprise. Many things were, but that was, I kept saying, Mel, come out.
Yeah, that was pretty good how we pulled that off. Great thing. And she ends with feeling of love and family values that extend to my own family. And I'm sure all of us can say that. And
Can I pass in one of you?
Oh, yeah.
You made me think of one about how I put Dad on the spot one morning and I says, "Oh, you know that you're lecturing to the class this morning on Holland, don't you?" So Dad took off of work, took a half a day, and came in, grabbed everything off the walls that looked Dutch and dragged it in and gave a lecture. Remember that? It was about 7th grade.
Yeah.
She dragged everything that was Dutch and probably took the whole house.
Yeah. I can't Jenny too. Okay, so go ahead.
Said she took Aunt Jenny too. Do you remember the Westinghouse radio that we used to have?
Who was that?
Cable radio.
Dr. Vidal, you called tonight.
Oh, okay.
George?
Go back to Westinghouse Radio.
Yeah, you remember that? We had it in Janesville.
Yeah, it was about this big.
Yeah.
The white one?
No. it was
No.
good.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
I think I do, but I'm not sure. Now, what about it?
Well, I remember it was around from as early as I remember.
Oh.
But I don't remember I was hoping you would remember more of the story of how you bought it, and I think it was something where you saw it and you kept wanting to get it, and you saved up your money, and then you finally ended up buying it. And then after you bought it, it was nice, but it wasn't quite as nice as all the money it cost for you. Do you remember that, Mom? Anything about that radio?
I remember the short wave.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Shortwave band.
I'd thought about that
I
song.
think that's what I wanted because I've always been fascinated by shortwave radio.
Oh, really?
Very fascinating to me.
Is
Of
this
course.
like the one at the house?
Well, it was on the order of that one. Different radio. Different like that. Of course, all the Dutch heritage and the wooden shoes that are around and the stories, Holland, that enriched our lives in a way that was different from other people we ran into. I had a couple thoughts as I was trying to 'cause I had a bunch of sort of random memories here and trying to put it together. And one of them is just this whole concept of memory. You see, I wrote that at the top of the page there.
Oh, yeah.
And thinking of memories as a tapestry of many colors and interwoven things that are in our life. I guess, as you're facing probably a limited time on Earth, and we're facing also a limited time on Earth, the memories become more precious. And even, I'm not had as much experience as you, but just thinking with our kids through the years, they're not little kids anymore, and our raising of them is done, but I can remember times that we spent together, and I'm glad I have those memories. I'm glad that we did the things we did, and we have memories in our family, the five of us, and glad that we can do all those things, because it's different than just having things. I mean, you can't replace activities, and a phrase came to my mind as I was thinking about this, that you and Mom have always been hands-on parents. You never tried to do it from a distance, but you always came and did things with us, as much as was all possible. You're always there to be a part of it, and things like what Steve was talking about, just being there to be part of jobs and graduations. Remember, graduations, I guess, is one of those things that, one of those milestones in life. When we gave the invocation or benediction at my high school graduation.
Yeah, I remember I had prayer.
Yeah, and you were there for college graduation, and you were there for my doctoral graduation, and you were there for Mike's and Sherry's college graduations. A lot of good times through the years.
Yeah.
And of course, officiating at our wedding ceremony. That was a very special time. I do have a regret about that, is that in my typical disorganization, I had arranged to have the wedding ceremony taped, but I didn't give the guy a blank tape to do it. So he found something that didn't have anything too important on it, so he brought it and he taped it, but he had to flip the tape over, and because there was a shorter tape or something, he flipped the tape over and missed the part of the ceremony where you had the personal reflection.
The ad-lib part.
The ad-lib part.
Yeah.
Everything else is written out.
And then we went to listen to it a year later on our anniversary. It wasn't all there.
Yeah, I always regretted that.
That was too bad. I tell you, I was honored to officiate at all three people's weddings.
Yeah.
And it was just so important in my life.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was important in our lives too. And I remember some of the fun things. Steve mentioned skating, and remember, all the times that you took a carload of kids out skating, and at Spokane YFC, how many times that you took us to YFC, and Stingspirations, Sunday nights after church, did a lot of running around with us.
I wanted to do it because I loved you.
Yeah. And of course, typically we're the last people out of the building, of course. I suppose that was a holdover from your passer days.
Still happens.
Yes, it's a second generation thing.
That's right.
It's genetic. I must
Sort of a
have
family thing, Can't break the string.
We were ready for Quincy and he was still.
You were ready to sleep. It was time to already go to bed.
and remember all the different camping trips. And I've said this before, being so glad that you and Mom took advantage of the time to retire, and the Lord has given you all these years to travel together and to have all those wonderful, wonderful experiences, and that after you're gone, Mom's going to have those memories, and we're going to have the memories of the really good times. Remember going to Washington, D.C., and going to the Smithsonian Institute there, and the fun we had, and of course just a couple of years ago going to Massachusetts, and going up to see the fall colors.
They're college starving students.
College starving that we didn't know was starving at the time.
sharing her meal ticket with her roommate.
Right. And of course, enduring that awful wreck on the way home, and surviving there. Remember, you wanted everyone to get out of the motorhome. Oh, don't worry, Dad, nothing's going to happen. Oh, I don't know, I just think that, no, don't worry, nothing's going to happen. Crash.
Boy, I regret that.
Feeling, I guess, that something might happen.
Yeah.
You know, even though we were legally parked off of the
We
road.
were on the shoulder, all right.
I'm surprised that mechanic he wasn't killed.
Oh, I thought he was. I just put my head down.
Oh, it looked like it, yeah.
Oh, I was shook up. Oh.
But you know, he didn't even come to work the next day.
I don't blame him.
I would have waited for a week.
He did come in on Tuesday, and we were still there. He said, "Boy, Jim, I'm sure glad to see you." I said, "Yeah, I'm glad to be here too."
I wish you had never come to our state.
And we never got our omelet at O'Hare parking lot.
We had that breakfast all planned out, and we were going to go into the remote and not even say anything to anyone. We were just going to stay there.
Yep, it still was a good plan. But oftentimes the
God
best
had
laid
other-
plans
God
of mice
had
and
other
men go
plans.
astray.
And what was the? I don't remember the wreck with the.
Oh, I was driving, and the car had the tire had a blowout, and as it
Retread came off.
flipped the retread off, it flipped around the axle and caught there, and I was trying to steer the car. There was no steering. I couldn't do anything.
It's like putting a brake on one side.
Yeah, and all I could feel is that this car was out of control, and I had no control over
And
this
this had to
camper.
do with the mechanic. What?
Nothing. So then we pulled off, finally got it off to the side, and who was it? One of you. I was just shaking. I was so shaking with this vehicle out of control.
We
But
were
it
still on the highway then, so
and we were on the highway, so then you backed it up or did something to get it over.
Between the two of you did a super job of getting it off the highway.
But we didn't know what was wrong. We didn't find out till the mechanic came out later and told us that the reason we had no control was because his tread was over the retread. I mean, the retread was over the axle. So he was busy repairing that. While he was busy repairing it, another car sideswiped it and hit
Okay,
hit
that's
the
right.
Tire that he was
It was-
working on
it was
and
a
dragged
wrecker,
it
wasn't it?
along with
Did
him.
it hit you?
No,
No,
it was
oh,
just
okay,
a
it's in the
car.
car,
It was
okay.
just a passenger
That's
truck.
right, yeah.
But the wrecker was there with his
That's right.
vehicle.
hit the wrecker and hit the side
That's
swipe
right.
the motorhome.
Okay.
Hit both
Knocked the motorhome
vehicles.
off the jack, and Mom was in the up at the cab of the motorhome.
Boy, I never forget that crash.
If it had been like just a few minutes earlier, the mechanic would have been laying out in the road.
Because he was on that side, but he had gotten it off and taken it off to the side to do something with a piece of steel to get the tire off.
That's right, I remember.
Something. Anyway, and I thought he was still on that side, and I just went hysterical. I just fell apart. I just knew that somebody had been crushed.
And Mom, she was fortunate she was on the passenger side, or she would have been killed.
Yeah. God was so good.
You know, I don't very often
Nope,
get
and
strong
nobody in the
feelings
truck
like
was
that,
killed.
but
And
I
that
just
truck
had
was
it that day.
went off in the weeds.
You guys really didn't want to get out because it's so cold out there. I understood that, but
Get out. No, crazy.
Windy and it was getting evening and.
You can catch pneumonia out there.
Die of pneumonia and sickness and cold and stuff.
And let's see. Oh, I remember for a while when you had the CB and we had a CB and I think it was Grandma Enoch's funeral and we were driving over to Iowa and we kept there and your handle was?
lifesaver.
Right?
Oh,
And
yeah, and Nilla wafer.
Nilla wafer. And Mom's was?
Or rainbow.
Right. That was the music
I'll tell you that.
Oh, Sherry.
But it's through it all, God. Really
Yeah, you were. Sherry was something.
Sugar.
We all had them.
She's sugar.
I just don't remember what they are.
Can't say the name, sugar.
Can't.
You're gonna melt.
But our other grandpa called her skunkweed.
Well, good balance in between.
And I guess to put, as I've said before, to put some of this in perspective,
Thanks.
I will never
Looks
forget
pretty.
the call from Mom right after you got the diagnosis of cancer. Michael was a baby, and the Mom called just in total panic, and part of it was that you had dialed the wrong number. Do you remember that, Mom?
Oh, yes.
Dialed the wrong number before you got a hold of me and got some people over.
Oh, they were having a drunken party.
Yeah, and just
Oh.
it was awful. And she called me, and I answered, and she just in shambles. And of course, we were really upset. And but then you came out. Michael was still quite young, and you spent a lot of time there. That little
3 months old.
yeah, that little apartment on in Hawthorne there, and walking around and so on. And we didn't know that, but that your time was pretty short.
That's all it was.
Yeah, of course you seemed like an old man then, and that was let's see, 69.
Oh, about like our age.
You were about 50. Must have been 53. 54. Yeah, well, I'm 52 now. It doesn't seem quite so old. But God has been good. He's given us all lots of good memories, and I guess, by far the most important things that you and Mom gave to us was spiritual heritage and a Christian home, a Christian family, and those values which remain after all the other ups and downs that come along. Look at that.
Love every one of you. You're going to read the 91st Psalm?
Oh yeah, do you want to do that now? Or do you want?
Well, I have a different close to the.
Okay. No, that's okay.
Okay.
Well, he asked about reading the 91st.
Yeah, why don't we read that, then we'll finish it with. Let's read the 91st Psalm now.
We need a Bible. Is there a Bible in this house someplace?
Oh, we just string together a bunch of those red verses.
Underneath under.
Do we still have the chipmunk record here?
No, there you'd have a hard time finding the psalm in there.
The chipmunk
You can
record?
look in the back though,
Oh, it could be,
Christopher, it has an index.
Oh yeah. Alvin.
Alvin?
David.
It's all
But
right.
there's
Theodore.
usually a Bible
Mine, I
there
got
on
that
that
in Spokane.
stand.
Yeah?
And that was quite a.
That's what, I remember that as a kid. We listened to that every time coming back. We listened to the...
Yeah.
We still got it. I don't think the
There
kids
should
ever.
be.
Well, there isn't.
Maybe
Oh,
you
I
can
think
hear
I brought it into that.
Angela's
I don't
under
think
the
you're ever
bridge.
Right, chipmunk album. Thank you. Dave, you want to do the narration? You probably have a better voice than I am. The long passages.
I still want you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Have you heard that album?
Yeah, I think I've heard it before.
Yeah. We didn't have a Bible there. And besides, Oprah was on there. Sort of destroyed a little bit of the ambience. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. For it is he who delivers you from the snare of the trapper and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his pinions, and under his wings you may seek refuge. His faithfulness is a shield and bulwark. You will not be afraid of the terror by night, or of the arrow that flies by day, of the pestilence that stalks in darkness, or the destruction that lays waste at noon. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not approach you. You will only look on with your eyes and see the recompense of the wicked, for you have made the Lord my refuge, even the Most High your dwelling place. No evil will befall you, nor will any plague come near your tent. For he will give his angels charge concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will bear you up in their hands, lest you strike your foot against a stone. You will tread upon the lion and cobra, the young lion and the serpent you will trample down. Because he has loved me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him securely on high, because he has known my name. He will call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will rescue him and honor him. With a long life, amen, I will satisfy him, and let him behold my salvation. Excellent choice.
The things I say and doubt the way I feel, but I know he's real today, he'll always be. I can feel his hand in mine, and that's enough for me. You may ask me how I know he holds my hand. He will guide each step I take, and if I fall, I know he'll understand. Till the day he falls me Lord, he loves me so. I can feel his hand in mine, that's all I need to know.
What? Keep going. Now, that's Dad's favorite song, and that's not only a song, that's the way he lives. Having his hand in Dad's hand. That's Dad's slogan. And that's the torch that he's passed on to us. So like everybody in this room who's been affected positively in any way by Dad Vidal, to rise to your feet right now. Anyone like that here?